I'm creating this video today in response to Umberto Colapiccioni's video that he posted to the thread that I started on September 30th, as per his request, and it's regarding an issue that I'm having um, with only FSDT scenery, airport sceneries. So he asked me to give a detailed description of what the problem is, which aircraft, location on the airport that this problem occurs in, and other scenery add-ons installed at the time. So anyway, the post is there. I posted on September 30th, 2016, and his reply was that he can't replicate the problem. He says, and of course nobody else has reported it, which isn't true. I found a post right here on the FSDT forum where this person, Fantasy 67, said, I noticed also a heavy balance of the aircraft when switching views, repeatable with PMDG 777. Now, it might not be exactly the same thing I'm experiencing, but it's something very similar, which Umberto, which he goes by the username Virtuali, says there's nothing you can do about it, which to me is a bit of a cop out of an answer, because this kind of problem is not happening with any other scenery from other vendors. It's only happening with FSDT scenery, so I'm not sure why he would say there's nothing he can do about it. Why is it only affecting FSDT? You know, if it's a problem that's because of the SIM or some kind of another add-on, then it should affect pretty much other sceneries as well. So he explains that the scenery must be raised in real time to prevent flickering, and this may cause an airplane to crash against the ground if you change the viewpoint height too fast. The next update of the software modules will come very shortly with KMEM, and GSX will likely have such automatic crash disabled when using such views. Anyway, so he says nobody else has reported this, and I'm showing here that that's not actually true. Back to my posts. So I'm creating this video I'm gonna just to give him the benefit of the doubt, and so he can see that I'm not making things up. I'm going to actually show how how it's happening. I'm going to go from from step by step, from start to finish, of what is it that I'm doing and how is it that I'm experiencing these bounces or these drops, which usually happens from about 30 feet, 50 feet above the ground, and the airplane just kind of drops down to the ground, whether you're on the runway or on the apron. Doesn't matter where you are in the airport, but only happens at FSDT airport sceneries. So okay, so I'm going to switch here to SimStarter NG, which I use to activate certain sceneries, and I do this in order to keep the potential out of memory errors from occurring. So I only load the airports that I need for a specific route that I'm flying. But for today's video, I'm going to pretty much load all my airport sceneries to show Umberto that it's actually only happening at his airports, and it's not happening at other vendors' airports or other developers' airports. So I just activated all Fly Tampa airports that I have, which are Montreal, Saint Martin, and Toronto. This is a freeware airport. I'm going to activate the Calgary one, which should be good enough. I'm going to activate Atlanta and FS Dream Team Los Angeles and Flightbeam San Francisco and KMCI. I'm also going to activate NASA Bahamas. This one I believe is Punta Cana, and this one is Rio de Janeiro. I also going to activate Orbix's Palm Springs. I want to activate CYSE, and the reason for that is I'm going to be using the the jets and CYSC, which is airport here in the Vancouver area. It's a small airport, so we won't worry about that. Okay, and make sure the right terrain mesh is activated. So I have St. Martin, Rio de Janeiro, South America, and that should be enough. Now I'm going to deactivate vector, and the reason why is because if I'm using Toronto for some reason, whenever Toronto loads with vector activated, it tends to run out of memory very quickly. So, and give me an out of memory error. So I'm going to deactivate vector. All right, so here we go. I'm going to save this config set. Yeah, it worked. Now I'm going to save the profile, exit SimStarter NG, and load the profile. So basically now, when you load the profile, if you haven't used SimStarter NG before, it basically loads and all the programs that you asked it to load when you start up your sim. Uh, Now, even though here vector it looks like it's loading, it really isn't, because I have in this profile, I have it set up to start vector, so to give me the option of deactivating tertiary roads or secondary roads, but it doesn't matter in this case because it's not going to load into the sim anyway. So I'm just going to exit this. Okay, now the next sim will load. Please excuse the background noise. That's my 4-year-old son. He likes to sit behind me and play with his toys or watch his iPad, so I apologize for the background noise. Okay, so here we go. Sim's loading. Alright, so I'm going to pick the PMDG 777 for starters, but this problem occurs with no matter which aircraft I use, whether I use the 777, the 777, or any one default aircraft, it does the same thing. But I'll start with the PMDG 777, and we'll start at Vancouver, which is one of 2 FSDT airports that I own. And we'll go to gate 50 for okay. I'm not I'm not going to pause the video. So I know it'd probably be better for me to pause while all this stuff is loading. I kept it rolling on purpose because I wanted to have no excuses here. I don't want him to accuse me of rigging this video or something. So I'm basically from start to finish. I'm not gonna pause the video so he sees a step by step what is it what I'm doing, what's happening, and hopefully he'll be able to come with a solution for this. And normally it doesn't take this long, but I think because I have everything loaded, it's taking a little bit longer than usual. Okay, so here we are. The airport scenery has loaded, and now we're just waiting for the aircraft to initialize. Okay, so here we are. We're now in the virtual cockpit view. I'm going to switch to the external view. Alright, so the airplane's on the ground, everything's okay. Now before I show you what the problem here, I'm going to prove to you that the actual vector did not load. So it'll be under World Scenery Library, and here we are. So here we are. Only the ones I selected to load are loaded. And as you can see, vector has been deactivated. So this is an exact replica of what you saw in SimStarter-ng. Alright, and as far as add-ons loaded right now, here they are. So EasyDock, FSUIPC, Active SkyNext, and FSDT engines, GSX, RAS, and add-on manager. Okay, so now if I watch what happens here when I switch to top view. You're going to see that the wings of the airplane are kind of buried in the ground. That's the first thing you'll see. There you go. So you see, you notice how half the wings are kind of buried into the, the ground. If I zoom in, I don't know if you heard that sound, that bounce. Okay. Or if I zoom out, notice as I zoom out, there's some of the scenery. I lose some of the sceneries here, right here, up here. Okay, so something's definitely wrong with the scenery. Zoom back in. There's that bounce again if you heard it. I mean, you can't see the bounce from the top view, but you can hear the sound, the thump. And here, I'll do it again and I'll stay quiet. Okay. There you can see the smoke coming off the nose gear because the bounce was so hard the airplane actually moved. Okay, now when I switch to spot plane again, there. Now that wasn't much of a bounce because the zoom was I was kind of zoomed in quite a bit. Now if I zoom out, the more I zoom out, the higher the drop. There you go. Okay. Here it is again. Oh, oh no, the airplane is actually buried completely. Okay, zoom in a little bit. Oh, look at that. Oh boy, I'm glad that came up on video. Okay, so that's with the 777. Now I'm going to use another payware airplane, but it's not from PMDG. I'll use like the Real Air Beach Duke. And actually, no, I'll stay with the 777. Move to a different part of the airport. So let's move to active runway. Here, it's active runway selected. Okay, so here we are now on runway 26 at Vancouver. Switching to the top-down view. There you probably heard the thump. Okay, switching view back to spot plane. So as you can see, it happens anywhere at the airport. Now, he also claimed that it didn't happen, it doesn't happen at LAX. Okay, well, I'm going to keep the 777 since it's already been initialized and loaded. I'm just going to switch to the LAX airport. And I should point out that the Vancouver scenery, I've had it loaded for quite a while, like for over a year. But the LAX scenery, I only bought that recently, and it's been loaded maybe a couple, 2, 3 weeks at most. So I don't know if there's any relevance to that, but I'm just making that pointing that out that the LAX scenery just loaded it. So if I can understand why VR scenery might be corrupted and needs to be reloaded. But then, if that's the case, what's the problem with the LAX? Why? How is that could be corrupted already? I I just installed that recently. Alright, so here we're on a runway again. Okay, so our top-down view of the airplane is not visible. Zoom it a little bit. There's that thump. Switching to spot view, and there's the bounce. And this is at LAX. Okay, so that kind of negates his comment that it's not happening at LAX. Now, granted, it might not be happening for everybody, but nevertheless, it is happening. Now, so his claim was that it's not the FTT, it has nothing to do with the FTT scenery. Okay, well, maybe that's the case, but then I'd like to pose a question to him. If it's not because of the FSDT scenery, then well, let me see here actually what he wrote in his comment. He said, so you can be sure, so you can be sure it's not a problem of the FS Dream Team scenery, but it's caused by some of the other add-ons you installed. Okay, well, I'll give you the benefit of that. Let's say that's the case. If it's caused by another add-on, then why doesn't an add-on conflict with other scenery? Like, is there something special about FS Dream Team scenery that it only um, conflicts with the add-on? And it doesn't happen in any of the other sceneries, and I'll prove it right now. So I'm going to go to now the other paid sceneries. Let's say I'll pick Montreal, which is a Fly Tampa scenery. It's going to be quite a long video with all this for all this loading that's going to be happening, but I want to make sure that he sees that I'm not stopping the video or keeping anything off of it. That everything that I'm doing is going to be recorded from start to finish. Okay, so here we are at Montreal. And it happens to be raining there. Okay. So if I switch to top-down view, it doesn't matter how much I zoom in. There's no thump or zoom out, no thump, and the airplane never disappears, never gets buried into the tarmac, into the pavement. Okay. Now, if I switch, remember the farther I zoom out, the higher the drop. So if I switch to spot plane, no drop whatsoever. Okay, so that's at Montreal. Well, that's a Fly Tampa airport. I can do all Fly Tampa airports, doesn't matter. It'll be the same thing, but just to save time, I'm going to go to another developer. So I'll use the Atlanta airport, which is Imagine Sim, I believe does that one. Oops. Go to airport. Once again, I apologize for the wait. Now I'm not gonna, obviously because of this, the video is getting to be long enough already. It's already 24 minutes long. I'm not gonna try it at every airport, paid airport. Um, but but take my word for it. I have tested it already myself at every paid airport, payware airport, as well as freeware airports. And the only airport this drops happens at is flight, FS Dream Team's airports, which I own two of them, CYVR and KLAX. Those are the only two it happens at. I will try one more airport after this, San Francisco, and that'll be it. Just, I think that should be convincing enough. So here we are at Atlanta, again on the holding short of the active runway. Okay. I don't know why it's taking so long for this scenery to load. Normally it doesn't do this. Okay, so anyway, switching to top down view. So there's the airplane on the runway. Notice as I zoom in and out, there'll be no thump. You don't want to hear that thump. And when I switch back to spot plane view, airplane's not dropping down to the pavement. Alright, so that's Atlanta. I'll do one more airport and that'll be it. Gonna go to SFO. Okay, so here we are at San Francisco on the active runway. This is a Flight Beam Studios scenery, top-down view. As you can see, no thump because the airplane is not dropping. And when I switch back to spot view, again, the airplane does not drop because it's sitting on the ground. All right, now let's go back to Vancouver. And while that's loading, I guess I want to say something regarding his comment on the forum. So basically, I want to pose a question to Umberto. So Umberto, you're saying that I can be sure it's not a problem with FSDT scenery that is caused by another add-on. So the question I pose to you then, if that's the case, wouldn't this also happen in other sceneries? Like, wouldn't this add-on be creating the same problem or similar problem with other airport sceneries, whether they're payware or freeware? It's not. And I know, maybe you're gonna come back with a reply, something like, oh, but I haven't seen all the other airports, you only showed us a few. Well, if you'd like to see all the other airports, I'd be more than happy to do another video at every single airport, except it's gonna end up being a very long video. So if you want that, I'd be more than happy to accommodate you and create such video. But I'm hoping this is going to be enough, convincing enough that it's not happening at any other airport other than FS Dream Team airports. So please answer me that question then. If it's not related to your scenery, if it's related to an add-on, why isn't the same problem occurring at other developers' airports? Okay, let's see if that scenery loaded now. Okay, so we're back on runway 26 at Vancouver. The airplane's invisible there, zooming in a little bit. There's that thump. And there's that drop. Okay, well, is this a PMDG problem? Let's see. Let's try a different aircraft. I'm going to select the Duke, which is another payware airplane. Now, I'm not sure if that's going to work actually, because the Duke doesn't like to be loaded from anything other than the default trike, but let's see if that's going to work. Okay, so here we are. Again, runway 26 in Vancouver. Switching to top-down view. There's a small thump. There it is again. And look at that. Oh, nice bounce. Oh, Ouch. Okay, so that's what to do. Let's try a default airplane. I'll choose a default Baron. Okay. There's that thumb. And there's the drop. So it's irrelevant to which airplane is used, irrelevant where on the airport. It's gonna that drop's gonna happen, but only at CYVR and KLAX, which are the two FS Dream Team airports that I own. I hope this gives you an idea what's going on, and I'm hoping or praying that you're able to resolve this because I don't think it's highly unlikely that I'm the only one experiencing this. Um, anyway, that's it, and hope you find this video helpful.